underway. You can kill my mind for flow, flow, flow. Hold me till I scream or breathe, and wash me over until my will runs dry. Deny your sins all over me, baby, baby.
Hey everybody, welcome back. This is Karina and Amber, your hosts for Dating and Marriage Perspectives. Damn good to the last word. We're happy to see you and to be with you. So whether you're our listeners or viewers, we're just happy to be in the same space with you. So today we welcome Toby and John. They are our couple of the day for our show. And we're talking about is timing everything. So we're bringing in their perspectives because Amber and I, not because, but there's many reasons, but Amber and I had a previous show where she and I talked about is timing everything in a relationship when you start a relationship. And we went back and forth on our thoughts and perspectives on just that. And then we thought, well, why don't we bring in a couple to ask the same question and get to know how they got together and whether or not timing is everything. That's Amber's question. My question is timing important? But we'll figure that out as our time, progresses over here. So, Toby and John, thank you for being here. We're very appreciative of your time.
Very happy to be here.
Awesome. I'm going to kick off the first question, and then maybe Amber can follow up with some other ones because I know she's got some burning questions.
I know I do.
Okay, first, tell us how you met, like the first time you met.
Okay, so there's a lot of story back here between Toby and myself, and because there's a lot of fits and starts to that story, right? To abbreviate it as much as possible. I don't know if the context is necessary, but I'll give a little bit anyway. Amber here is my niece, right? And Toby is one of Amber's best friends. Right? Toby moved to New York for school in the early 2000s. And there was a time when Amber and her family came to visit New York. And we all met up in Harlem, if you remember, at the Essex Club, I think it was. I don't remember the name of the place. But I got come here. You should meet my friend Toby.
Yeah.
You should meet my friend Toby. And I was like, not that there's I don't know her. I don't know of her. I don't know anything about her. But, I don't really, other people's opinions of who's good for me is not necessarily my opinion of who's good for me, right? So at the time, I was like, you know what, that's cool, but no thanks. So I don't even know, right? I was kind of stupid, but we don't need to talk about it. But it came around a couple of times, you should meet my friend, you should meet my friend. And then sometime in 2008.
So wait, in 2002, you didn't meet then? In early?
Did not.
Okay,
That's
so she
first
wanted
I've
you
heard
to,
of her.
but
She
it didn't
wanted us
happen.
to, but this is the first I heard of her. 2008, my sister took it upon herself, my sister in New York, took it upon herself. She had met Toby before through Amber. They hung out a little bit. She's like, I'm going to introduce you to her. And my sister dragged me and said, we're going to meet with Toby. We're going to go out for lunch. And we went to a restaurant in Astoria. I think it was 718. It doesn't exist anymore. We had a good time. So the two of us went out to a movie. We went bowling. I pulled out the only game I had, which was I cooked for her.
And you know she was not mad about that.
That's not game. That's
You pulled
that's
out the
talent.
right card. for her.
Right in
But
my heart.
Yeah.
to be honest, during that time, I personally was not in a really good headspace for myself, to be honest. I had was dealing with some pretty significant self-loathing issues and such that made me self-sabotage a lot of things, right? And at the time, and Toby can speak for herself, I won't speak for her, but she was coming out of a relationship that wasn't very good. And so she wasn't receptive for a new one either. So she called me up and said, you know, I'm just coming out of something. I don't want something else right now. And I was like, see, that's the way the world treats me. Because that's what my head was. You know?
I regret those words.
And so, you know, it was probably would not have worked during that time. She was wounded and I was wounded. And we were both wounded at the time. And so, you know, it wasn't right for either of us. Because I don't think either of us could have been the best us at the time. And I'm doing all the talking for us, Toby.
Yes, I have
Sorry.
No, it's okay. As you said, and I regret those words, but at the same time, maybe not so much because I would not have appreciated what we now have. But in any event, I was coming out of a relationship, 3-year relationship. Knew the person was not good for me. I mean, I don't think there was anybody who was team him, but it didn't matter because it was all I knew, and it's rough when it's your first. But again, I knew he wasn't good, and what resonated with me was a close cousin of mine. I was at his home one day and he was doing his usual rant as to why I'm foolish to still be in that situation. And he was like, you know what, I'm going to stop because we're going to wake up 5 years from now and we're still going to be doing this. And that was like eye-opening because it was like, oh my God, you're right. I need to change something because I know this isn't good. And it's like, I met this wonderful man here. And even though I knew how wonderful he was, it was like, I needed to switch.
The steak I served is so sure would have
right.
actually sealed the deal for most people.
In all honesty, it was freaking awesome. It literally, if you remember, I actually started smiling uncontrollably. It was weird because I love good food. It was just perfect. It was perfect, except I just wasn't in the right headspace. And so it's like every time I think back on when I called him, you know, saying essentially, could we just be friends or whatnot? It's like I regret those words, but then I kind of don't because I would not have been able to appreciate what we have. It would not have been good because I do believe timing is everything.
Good, I'm glad you said that.
I mean, for me, it's just God's plan as to timing and everything. So for me, that's why it's everything.
I wanted to just ask another 2 questions and maybe a comment because I know she's going to listen to this. I want to make sure she gets some credit. Your other sister, Jan, I think also had something to do with making sure that that you and Toby met, because I do remember her bringing it up before. So
Oh yeah, like your whole family conspired
True.
to try to introduce me, and I say our whole family conspired to bring us together. And you know, I was resistant mostly because of where I was in my head.
Yeah.
You know, I just, if someone thinks someone's good for you, you owe it to yourself to find out. And I resisted that initially because I didn't think I was good enough for anybody, to be honest. This was, like I said, I was dealing with some self-loathing issues. That's a whole other episode if you want to get into it. But I got better. I worked on getting better. You know, I had an incident, I'll just be honest. I had an incident in 2012 where I was so depressed and unhappy. I drank myself unconscious, fell down and cracked my head open, got 5 stitches in my head. And I woke up and, you know, was like, how the hell did I get these stitches in my head? I didn't even remember anything. And
Mm,
after that, I was like, I either have to figure out how to get happy or I just, I'm going to end up, the guy in the gutter.
Mhm.
right, right.
And so I worked on getting happy. And the world started getting better the second I started deciding that I didn't, I wasn't valueless or value. And so I was building myself when we ran into each other again in 2014.
Mhm. That's what
Um,
that
sorry.
that was my question, but it's gonna be my next question. I mean, obviously I know, but yeah, talk to everybody, tell everybody, how you guys got reconnected and
Well,
where were you in your headspace at that time?
so in 2014, unfortunately, your dad, my brother-in-law, passed away.
Mhm.
And I came to town to his memorial service to pay my respects. Reggie was a great man, well beloved by many people. My father was a very particular person and he liked Reggie. So that says something. And so he deserved our time to say goodbye to him. And Toby was there, and I knew she would be there. There was no way she wasn't going to be there. She grew up in your household, back and forth. So, but I wasn't really expecting much. I was expecting to say hello to her and, see how she was doing and go on about my business.
Can I say something
Yeah.
real fast? Not to
Please
interrupt,
do.
but let
Yeah.
me just say this one thing. Because I sure did tell Toby and I told Karina, I said, listen, my uncle's coming to town. And I told Toby, I'm gonna introduce him to Karina. So sorry.
She was like, get out of the way. He's my man. She can have.
She wasn't having that. She was not gonna let John cook for anybody else. That's the truth.
In all honesty, it's like I was working on myself still because my cousin's words forever resonated with me. But yeah, it was just a work in progress. And it was like, you know what? I gotta do better. I gotta do better. I deserve better. And so I need to show up differently. And so it's like, I need to be open. I mean, he was awesome. And so I'm not gonna let my old feelings, the old obstacles block that. So
Or
I came
Karina.
with the,
Or-
I love you guys. This is all coming from a loving place.
and so you know what? I was just totally open and we had a nice conversation. And I mean, it was easy. And then we
Yeah.
just continued it.
It was a really, to Toby's words, easy was right. We had a very easy conversation. Like, because again, I wasn't expecting much. So the fact that we were talking was like, all right, well, it's a conversation. And then we had another conversation and we had another conversation. And then I said, well, when you come back to town, we'll hang out. And then we had another conversation. I actually ended up going to a regular convention I go to in Boston. So our reconnection got delayed a little bit because she came back to town when I was out of town. But when, we hung out a couple of times, and then I'll tell you what kind of sealed the deal for me, right? One of the things that I was heavily involved in was the New York City food scene at the time, right? And I would go to these food tasting events where 50, 100 restaurants from around the city would have a little bite that you can taste. And I would literally taste like 75 different things before I would go home. And I brought friends with me to these things, and they would take a nibble on 3 things and just be, oh, I'm full. And I'd be like, well, I'll eat yours.
Yeah.
And because I just like, food's a big part of my interest. I take Toby to one, and this woman hangs with me the whole time, eating everything.
I
And
believe
I was
it.
like,
I believe it.
Close down shop.
wow, okay,
Oh yeah.
this is someone I can hang out with.
Right.
And then we went to another one where it was a period piece where it was like took place in the 20s. And so they had a lot of 20s themed stuff. And 2 of us got dressed up in costume and went.
Oh,
And I was like, yeah, okay, yeah. This this could work.
Right.
I can hang out with her.
What
There's no demurrament about, you know, anything. It's like,
I was
yeah.
comfortable at the outset. That was
Yeah.
that was a huge
So we
plus.
clicked away right away.
Mhm.
What are some differences that you guys saw in each other during that time? Because you hadn't talked for 4 or 5 years.
Well,
oh,
from
6 years.
2008 to 2014, so 6 years.
Yeah.
I think, and maybe this is, you know, retroactively putting things together, but I think to a certain extent, Toby was a little bit more guarded
Mm.
when we first, and
Oh.
that was cool. But you know, she
Oh.
didn't talk about a lot of, you didn't talk about a lot of what was going on with you, and basically it was just work, and that was it.
Mhm.
And it was easier to talk to her later when we reconnected in 2014. There was nobody was hiding anything anymore. Like my whole self-loathing thing, I'm pretty sure I did a good job of hiding it in 2008. And I was upfront with the fact that I was recovering from it when we got back together in 2014. And she would catch me saying something that was kind of negative about myself and like, why did you say that? And I would stop and like, why did I say that?
Right.
And you know, it helped in my recovery. You know? So I'll let you interject. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no. Well, what's interesting is when we all went out, you know, you, Jen, and me, you, I don't know, you just seemed not down, but not your jovial self, not what I'm used to now. And that could have been the self-loathing. It could have been because you weren't in the proper headspace and weren't necessarily open. But I did pick up on that. We had a great time. You're awesome, gentlemen, all that good stuff. But I did sense that. Whereas when we came back, you were just, I remember, I won't ever forget, like the way you approached and you're like, hey, so, you know, hey, how's everything? How you going? You were just a lot more upbeat and you just seemed very happy and comfortable in your shoes. So, I mean, that was awesome. That was awesome.
Okay.
So I mean, it sounds like even when you reconnected in 2014, it's not to say you were working on things. You were both individually still working on yourself. So you weren't 100% healed or, you know, recovered from the things that you were dealing with. So is timing, so I'm switching the question, was the timing more right in 2014 than 2008? Or are we still considering timing is everything when we think about 2008 and 2014?
I like the switch up.
So I think this may come down to semantics and things of that nature, but in 2008, we probably would not have been successful, right? In 2014, we had better chances of being successful because we had both matured to the point where we were open for each other in a way that we weren't in 2008. That might have caused us to have issues, right? But there's no way that we could know that. But I think we both matured to the point where we were available to each other in a way that we had not been previously. Now, if you want to say that that's a timing thing, because I know Toby does, then you can say that. I like to think that as people, we evolve and we grow, and sometimes the people that we were weren't the people that we became, and the people that we became were more receptive to each other. If you want to say that that's timing, it's growth. I don't know what you want to call it.
Sounds like
I
you
like your
have
thinking.
time to have growth.
we're you know, perspectives, right? We stand where we stand, but I like your thinking, John. I do. It's not just the timing, it's yeah, I'm not going to take away from what you said, but I'm right there with you.
Yeah, I feel like as long as you're alive and you're receptive to it, you continue to grow, even if you don't necessarily grow physically. You grow in your maturity because you experience new things, you do new things, and that growth takes you in different directions, and sometimes that growth brings you closer to people, other times it brings you farther away from people, but that growth is kind of what drives things. And when you get to a point where you find a partner that you want to grow with, you grow together would be the optimal circumstance for that relationship. You continue to grow, but you grow together in the same direction towards the same thing.
I mean, and I get all that. It's just, I guess in my view, it's God's plan for the timing that fuels all of that. So I get it. There's a number of factors that go into that equation, but for me, it's the benchmark or the base is the fact that it's God's plan for the timing. So I don't know. I mean, to me, it's not necessarily mutually exclusive, but
We can't argue with God's plan. I agree. I try to fight it. I do.
Right.
Amber has told me plenty of times. It's not God's plan, Karina. It's
Yes.
not. It's His time, not your time.
Yeah. It's hard.
Whatever.
It's hard to wait, but I'm a firm believer that if we can wait it out.
yep.
What would you tell? So people out there, maybe couples are watching this, maybe single people watching this. What would you tell people out there who, may have experienced something similar to you, where they connected with someone and it's not the right time or whatever, and they reconnect or hope to reconnect? What's any advice, tips, thoughts?
I would just say, essentially take your time. I mean, don't let, the fear of being alone and other things like that factor into your decision. I mean, if the timing's not right, if you're not feeling like you're in the right space, just take your time, be by yourself, get to know yourself, love yourself, because you will present a lot better if you take that time and then pursue it when you're actually ready. You're just going to do yourself a disservice and the other person a disservice if you do it prematurely. That's my
Don't force it.
Yeah, don't force it.
Yeah, I can't really.
Well, how would somebody know that they're ready? Is
Well,
there something that came across you guys that were like, okay, I'm ready? Like, how would you know?
It's tricky, right? Because I had to acknowledge that, for myself at least, that a lot of the insecurities that were weighing me down existed, right? It's a lot of times when people have insecurities, they externalize them, right? This is the world's fault. This is someone else's fault. This is something else outside of me. When you realize that some of your insecurities are not external, but they're yourself, then you can start addressing them. And the thing is, for what it's worth, people, whether they acknowledge them or not, are sensitive to these things. And they can tell subconsciously that someone's got something going on. Sometimes they ignore it. Sometimes they're like, well, I'm going to ignore it because I have X, Y, and Z, or this person has X, Y, and Z, or whatever. But, people know. And you want to bring to any relationship the most authentic whoever you are is.
Yeah.
I guess that's a valid sentence. But,
Got it.
But, if you can't bring, if all you can bring is something that will bring down someone else, then that's not necessarily something you want to bring into a relationship. So you have to be in a position where you're the most you can be in a way that benefits not just you, but you and your partner. That's, if you can't do that, then you probably should continue to take some time to work on yourself, which is, when I realized that I was my own problem, it makes things easier because you only have two options because you can't get rid of yourself.
Yeah.
And like for me, I used to speak in terms of things being done to me a lot. But when I started realizing, I'm allowing all that to happen, it's like when I have that mind switch, and took ownership, it was easier for me to, show up differently, show up in a way that I wanted to show up. And then that kind of colored a lot. And then I was able to actually approach it again, differently, much differently, in a better place.
Awesome. I love it. Well, before we let you guys go, we want to play a game. And just so everybody knows, the drinking word of the day was time. So
Oh dear Lord, if someone was actually drinking, I'd feel bad for someone.
we said time 162 times.
It's a great drinking.
There's going to be
Yeah.
some dead people who watch this podcast. So,
I love it.
Please drink
Wait,
responsibly. But yeah, we're gonna do. Oh, you have another question?
well, so I think I heard where you stand with our question is timing everything.
Oh,
But for some of us who may have missed it, John, what is your answer? Is timing everything?
this is where I get into like semantical things. But I think it's a very, very important factor in things.
Waiting for that.
Because if you're not in the right place, it doesn't matter the time, right? So you have to be in the right space for the timing to even work, right? So I think it's really, 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 really important. But if everything else is not right, then cross paths with somebody and the paths will continue to cross.
but I think you're in that right space because of the timing. So as you can imagine, for me, timing is everything.
Yes, I love it. I love it. And I agree with you.
We're
All
just gonna thank you for clarifying some things. We totally appreciate you guys.
Yes.
Not a problem.
All right. Do you guys have your notepads and paper and markers? Okay. So this is going to be kind of like the newlywed game, newly 3-year, 4-year married game. Okay.
COVID,
Yes.
Yeah.
So we're going to ask one question, a couple of questions, 5 questions total.
Okay.
And you're going to write down your answers. Don't cheat. Don't look at other person's answers. And let me get some of our questions up. All right. One's going to be dirty. Sorry. All right. Ready? Okay. All right. So what would the other one give up? So what would John give up? John, what would you give up? Give up
What would Toby
breakfast?
give
Go ahead.
Give up breakfast, lunch, or dinner? You have 5 seconds to answer.
I just write it down. Okay.
Yes.
So what would John give up according to Toby, and what would Toby give up according to John?
Okay. Ready?
Mm-hmm.
The count of 3. Let's see your answers. Wait
Oh.
a second. Is that right? No, you got it. Okay. Sorry, John. What would you give up?
All right, so you're asking me what would I give up, right?
I'm asking you verbally to tell me what you give up, and then Toby can show us what she wrote down
Okay.
for you.
What I would give up is lunch.
And then I show my answer.
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Ooh.
I
All right.
love breakfast foods and I love dinner foods.
I figured.
And I
dinner
like
was not an
breakfast that's really complicated. You can call it
Okay.
brunch, but because brunch is a combination of breakfast food plus other things. But breakfast foods and dinners are like my favorites.
Okay. Okay. What about you, Toby? What would you give up? And then John, let's see your answer.
I would give up lunch.
I don't know if you can see
What-
it, but it says lunch.
Nice.
Well, I don't know. We can't confirm what it says.
You might want to use some of.
Yeah, let
some
me
of
use
these
it really
papers.
quick.
Yeah.
All right, so-
But we'll give it to you. We'll give that one to you.
All right.
Okay. Ooh, let's see. Okay. Let's just jump into it. Okay.
Uh-oh.
Well, this is really weird because it's my uncle and I'm like, but and if you don't want to answer this one, that's fine. But Toby, you're going to answer for John. John, you're answering for Toby. You're putting her answer down. What's your least favorite sex position? Hold on.
Oh, it's interesting. It's actually changed, but
Oh,
Yeah.
is it, okay, so it's currently, is it currently? Okay,
yes, not, now that we have got bad knees, we don't do things the same,
okay.
you know? Okay, ready?
I don't want to
God.
answer this
5,
because it's embarrassing,
4.
but okay. Let's
So if you
see.
don't want to answer it, that's fine.
We'll go. Let's
Okay.
go. Let's
All
go.
right, sounds good. All right.
So-
I'll plug
You're
my
in
ears
it.
and I'll listen to this later. All right. Look, Toby, what you go ahead.
What's your least favorite?
What's my least favorite now is doggy style.
Really? Okay. And
Yeah.
John, what you put? Oh, okay.
Oh.
Only since my my fibroid surgery.
Oh,
Okay.
okay.
It's very, because it used to be my favorite.
Okay.
It's actually quite sad. Okay, I just had to say that.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you for sharing.
Yeah, that's a lot. All right.
You asked. I mean, you wanted.
No,
to
I know.
answer,
I should have been prepared.
Okay.
Okay. John, go ahead.
So
Oh.
my least favorite.
I'll write it down. I realized I didn't write it. Okay.
Gonna put my hand.
Okay. My least favorite's missionary.
Okay.
Oh, baby.
All
Oh, okay.
right.
Well, I don't know. You put doggy on there first.
Oh, I'm sorry. I wrote that down for me. Scratch
Oh,
that.
okay. So you were giving him the answer.
No.
Okay. All right. What is each other's favorite holiday?
Oh,
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. This one should be easy.
yeah, right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Who
Go.
goes first?
Go ahead, John. You go first. Oh, Toby. Oh, wait. John,
I went
you
first
tell-
last time, so
Oh, okay. So Toby.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. John's favorite is Thanksgiving.
Oh. Okay. Well, can we see your answer, John?
well, no. My answer is what I think her favorite is. So
Oh,
I was supposed to say that, but she's right.
Oh,
It's
I'm
Thanksgiving.
sorry. So
Oh.
yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. I
Yeah.
messed that up.
Okay.
It's Thanksgiving.
We got it. We got it.
I do all the cooking for it. I enjoy cooking. Is one of the few ways you can put something in someone else's mouth and cause them pleasure. So
And custom what?
pleasure. So
That is awesome.
I just
This
like
is
cooking for people,
hilarious.
and Thanksgiving is all about sharing food with family and friends. So it's the most important one to me.
Yes. Okay.
And I think Toby's favorite is Christmas.
Yes, that's what I was.
Correct. That is
Okay.
correct.
Even though she wrote down Thanksgiving. Okay.
You're
All
on
right.
Christmas.
Oh, I don't want to ask that question,
Well,
but
we actually answered it.
I
wrong
know.
together.
I messed it.
Yeah.
I messed that one up
I did
too.
too.
that's okay.
Honor system.
That's okay. All right. So once again, the rules are, Toby, you're answering for John. What do you
Yeah.
think he's gonna say?
Yeah.
All right. Work to live or live to work? Five, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, Toby, what would you say for John? What do you think John is gonna say?
Like, okay, I think he's gonna say live to work.
Can we see your answer?
Oh no, it's work to live.
Oh, okay. No,
I-
in terms of me.
oh
Wait, now maybe I'm confusing things.
yeah, you're supposed to say what I would answer.
Right.
Oh, I'm
so
sorry.
sorry. No, I
I'm-
messed that up. Actually, I should have asked John what your answer is.
Okay, so
Oh, okay.
I know what Toby would like to think it to be, but in actuality, right now, she lives to work.
Okay, Toby,
Yeah.
is that what you put on your sheet?
Oh, you know what? I put on mine what John.
Yeah.
That's yeah.
Oh,
that's what you
okay.
should do.
So then
John
So
said,
he just-
So
I think we've
screwed it up
totally-
again.
I think we've
We screwed
totally
up again.
butchered it.
okay, well, that's all the time we have, folks.
But the bottom line is for him is work to live. And for me, it's live to work. So
Okay.
we got each other's right, but we totally botched this process.
Nope, you're doing
One last one. One last
one
one.
last one.
One last one.
This is an easy one. So you
I am writing what you would say and
Yes.
you were writing what I would say.
yes, yes.
Let's get this one right.
Okay, is timing everything?
Love
I
it.
love it.
Love it. I'm writing what you would say, you're writing what I would say.
Yes. 5, 4,
We already know.
It's a
Yeah,
yes or
yeah,
no,
yeah.
but this is a yes or no answer.
Sometimes things are just too nuanced for a yes and no answer.
I know.
Okay, so.
What do you think I would say
so-
about you?
I think, well, do I think timing is everything? The answer is no.
Okay, what did you? Yes. Okay.
Thank
All
you.
right.
And
Toby, what would
do
you say?
I
timing is-
think it is, yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
Beautiful. It's beautiful.
I love it. I love it. Well, you guys,
Awesome.
thanks so much for being on and blessing us with your presence and your story and your honesty, guys. Some of the
Thanks
stuff.
for having us.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, again, as part of the maturity process of getting old, you start to be more honest about things. And, and that's one of the benefits, because you feel like you have a little bit less to hide. And when you're in a really solid relationship, if you have stuff you want to work on, you want your partner to help you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I like that.
Well,
That's the best way to grow together.
Yep.
I love it. I love it. Well, if you guys out in the universe, YouTube, Apple, Spotify, everything, have any questions for these two or want to put your own input on is timing everything, please make sure to comment below. And don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe while you guys are watching, listening to this. And we appreciate you guys. So we love you.
Press that bell button.
Clap it, smack it, whatever you got to do. All right. Thanks, guys, so much. Karina.
you.
And
Bye.
Take care.
everybody soon.
Go away, guys.